Welcome to Life After High School. This is an episode, man, that is going to be mind blowing, right? I am excited to be here. And y'all already know, man, I hate to have a whole, uh, I hate to have a whole bunch of fluff, right? I like to get right into it. So let's do that, okay? Let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me put this mic on because if I don't, I already know I'm gonna get a message from my camera guy. He's gonna be like, "Yo, where the mic at?" Right? When we go to do edits. But listen, man. First and foremost, I want to let you know, man. I'm proud of you, right? I'm proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for being here. So we're gonna jump into this. And what I did was I made sure to take notes, man. I made sure to take some serious notes today. Usually, I don't even bother with notes. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. Usually, I just be like, "Yo, I just want y'all to get the message, and I want to give it to you." But I'm focusing more on becoming intentional about what I give you, right? I'm focusing on really delivering the key message and the key points. Why? Because it's extremely important. All right. So I don't want to deviate. I want to stay on the message. And today I want to talk about proving them wrong. Right. That's what I want to give you out today. We are going to talk about proving them wrong and getting that comeback started. Right. And we're going to come back now. We're going to come back strong. So let's dive into this thing. First and foremost, what I want you to do, man, I'm real big on this. I want you to write down what it is you want more of in the next 12 months. All right. What do you want more of in the next 12 months? Okay. Write that down. What do you want more of in the next 12 months? Okay. Oh, that kind of threw me out of focus, right? What happened here? Let's go. Come on, come back to me. Um, camera game. Camera game. I gotta get that part together, right? So let's jump into it, man. Write that down. What do you want more of in the next 12 months? The second thing I want you to write down is what do you want less of in the next 12 months? What do you want more of? And what do you want less of? When we're talking about that comeback and setting it up, this is something, man, that's been a game changer for me. Okay. I'm sharing that with you because it was shared with me about 2 years ago. A good friend of mine shared it, and he was like, "Yo, P, what do you want more of in the next 12 months?" And when he asked me, I gave him a generic answer. You know what I mean? I gave him a generic answer. It wasn't really dialed in. It wasn't nothing I put real thought behind. So because I didn't put real thought behind it, how could I put real actions behind it? I couldn't. I had to put real thought, right? And then he said, "What do you want less of in the next 12 months?" And again, it was a generic answer, right? On what I wanted less of in the next 12 months. I sat down. He said to me, he was like, "Yo, don't answer it right now." He was like, "I want you to think about it. I want you to take some time and really think about it." So I did. I went, sat down, I took some time and I thought about it. And as I started to think of what I wanted more of in the next 12 months, less of, I wrote it out and it was very detailed. I kept it within two sentences, right? Two sentences. And he was like, "Yo, put it in one sentence." I was a little frustrated, but I went back to the drawing board and I put it in one sentence. What I want more of and what I want less of. I put it in one sentence. And then when I took it back to him, he was like, "Cool." He said, "How many people in your life right now? Who are the people in your life? Who are the things in your life that you can keep in your life that will help you to get closer to what you want more of in the next 12 months?" I said, "Wow, got it." Okay. So I went and did it. And then he said, "For what you want less of in the next 12 months, I want you to write that down too, right? I want you to write down what you want less of. And then I want you to look at the people and the things in your life that are moving you closer, right, to getting less of what you want in the next 12 months." So I made the list. And then he said, everybody that you didn't put down that's going to help you to get closer to what you want more of is helping you to get less of, right? Less of what you want. And the people, when you're looking at that, are moving you closer to getting you less of, right? Meaning I'm living in my purpose now. I'm doing the things that are helping me not to get less of what I want. He said, them are the people. He said, so that group of people are the ones you need to really remove right now. Them things are the things you really need to remove right now. So everyone that's helping you to get closer to what you want more of, you keep them. Those that are helping you to get closer to what you want less of, you got to cut them. It's that simple, right? You can't keep them things and them people around. So when we're talking about getting to the point where it's time to prove them wrong, right? It's time to prove them wrong. You can't prove people wrong when you keep doing the same old things. So that's what life after high school is all about. And when I went through that transformation, it was huge because I started to think, right? I started to think of, where did these thoughts come from? Where did these traumas come from? So let me stick right here, right? Because I really want to live in my notes right now. One thing about me when I'm presenting, man, I know what the message is, but this is a little different for me. Okay. So you're gonna see me go through a transformation right here. And some of y'all don't want to be uncomfortable, but let me tell you this. This for me is uncomfortable. Looking at notes to present what I already know is uncomfortable, but I find that I have a struggle staying on point for things like this, right? But I'm going to make it happen. And I'm saying this to you, not because I want your pity, but I'm saying this to you because I want you to watch as the transformation comes. And it's going to be like, yeah, I remember he was like this and he had to look at and he had to do, and he was fumbling. You see what I mean? You're going to start to see all that. It's going to be like, yo, man, I watched it. I watched the transformation because most of the time what we do is we look at people where they are, and that's where we measure ourselves. That's what we measure ourselves against. Where these people are here, man, I'll never be able to get there. Man, it's never going to be that way for me. Man, it's not, I don't know, like, I'm not that good, and you just stop. Nah, they only got there because they knew what they wanted more of. They knew what they wanted less of. And the things that they was doing every day, if it wasn't getting them closer to what they want more of, then that means it was giving them what they want less of. Follow me? I hope you do. Okay? So let's be clear. I wasn't the one, I wasn't the one that was told, yo, you're a superstar. Yo, you're phenomenal. Man, you could do anything that you want in this world. Like, that's not what I was getting. I was getting from teachers like, yo, you're not enough, right? You don't have what it takes. You might as well go ahead and drop out. You're so far behind, right? These are the things that I'm getting when I'm talking to these teachers, and these teachers are talking to me. And I really feel like that day I went to go drop out. When I was thinking about it for months, right? Because I was thinking about it months before it happened. And when I was thinking about it, I really believe that as I'm thinking, everything that everybody was saying to me negatively is what I was buying into, is what I let get the best of me. When they're telling me like, yo, you don't have what it takes. When it was time to go drop out, I'm like, yeah, mine as well. Like what? Like I don't got it. I can't do this. I can't do that. So what I started to do was put all my attention into preparing for the dropout. I'm talking about I went shopping for the dropout. You know what I mean? Like I went shopping. I literally went to the mall and I said, yo, I'm gonna go get me a dropout outfit. And I bought 3 outfits. I never forget it, man. I bought 3 pair of jeans, I bought 3 shirts, and I bought 2 pair of sneakers. And I got in front of the mirror and I'm trying the clothes on. I tried all of them on, right? And you ever get in front of the mirror and you try your stuff on and you start talking to yourself like, yo, you're fly. And then you start acting like you're in a conversation, like you're talking to a young lady. So I'm like, yo, hey, yo, come here. And you sit there and you have all of these conversations to see how your outfit is looking. Well, that's what I was doing. But I was just standing in front of the mirror like, yeah, I'm here to drop out today. Yeah, I'm not coming to school no more. Yeah, I'm done with this. I'm going to go out into the real world. I don't need this. Like I'm doing all of that to see how it looks. And then when graduation, only graduations I ever been to was somebody else's, right? When I'm standing there and I put this on and I'm preparing for this dropout, I never forget the day I got dressed. I got dressed. I had my outfit picked out. I knew exactly what it was, right? I jump in the shower, put my clothes on, make sure everything is freshly pressed. Like you would have thought I was going to the club. Right? You'd have thought I had like some special event to go to. I was treating this like I was doing something major. I walked out the door. My car wasn't parked in front of the house because my father wouldn't let me park it there because I had no driver's license. I had no registration. I had no insurance. I'm driving illegally. So I had to park my car a mile away from my house. So I walked down the hill, up the other hill, down the other hill, and I got in my car, started it up. Remember, no driver's license, no registration, no insurance. But here I am on my way to make a grown man decision, and none of my actions are grown man. I get in the car, I put in Nas, I put in that Nas Illmatic, and it was life's and then you die. That's why we puff fly, because you never know when you're gonna go. And I'm banging this, right? I got the two knob stereo. A lot of y'all don't know about the two knob stereo. If you're too young, right? But you got the two knobs, and it was wired in to where it was like barely sitting in the spot. And I had the little speaker box in between the seats. And I remember, man, I had like two little speakers in it. And the reason I put it in the speaker box so I can get like a little muffle, a little bass. And I'm driving. Boom. I'm going to school and I'm nodding all the way, right? And I'm rehearsing what I'm going to go in there and say before I drop out. And when I got there, I pulled up in the parking lot and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go in. Here's my last day, right? I'm feeling like I'm cool. I'm walking in there. I got the Diddy Bop going on, right? I got the Diddy Bop. And I walk through the door and I see the principal's assistant, Miss Quinn, and she says to me, she says, Pierre, if you come in here late one more time, you're going to have detention for the rest of the year. I looked at Miss Quinn. I said, Miss Quinn, you'll never give me detention. I'm here to drop out. And she said, okay, come with me. She went and got the guidance counselor. Guidance counselor came out, had 3 pieces of paper. Said, Pierre, I need you to sign here, here, and here. I did. Boom, 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 boom. She said, we wish you well. I said, yeah, okay. Turned around, walked out. And I promise you, the only thing I know now, 100%, all I wanted somebody to say to me is, why? Why are you here to drop out? And I probably wouldn't even have been able to answer the question, but it would have been the thing that would have made me change my mind that day. And maybe it would have got me it would have got me through the 11th grade, right? Maybe it would have got me another week, another month, another 2 months. But instead, they just said here, here, and here. And I felt like I was doing something big. And I went outside and I jumped in my car. And when I jumped in my car, I put the key in the ignition. And I didn't even go to turn the engine on. I just put the key in the ignition and it hit me. I didn't know where I was going. I put all my time and energy into thinking about what I was going to wear on this big day. The big day to go drop out, right? That's where my attention went. So when that key goes into that ignition and I don't turn it, I start thinking, man, I have nowhere to go. And the first tear said, boom. The second tear, boom. I swear to God, I swear, I think both tears fell out one eye. And then the other one said, oh, hold on. Like, yo, I got you. And then that eye started dripping. And then the other eye was dripping even more. It's like each eye was in competition with each other. And they just kept dripping and dripping and dripping and dripping. And before you know it, man, I'm bawling. I got my hands over my head, my head's down, and there's nobody there but me. And then finally, I just started the car up and I started to drive, right? And when I started to drive, I'm thinking like, what am I going to do? Where am I going? I don't know. I said, okay, cool. Let me go get my money. So I go to the bank. My dad had me set up a bank account. He had me go get a job, made me go get a job, set up the bank account. And he said to me, Pierre, every time you get paid, I want you to go cash your check, right? This is before direct deposit and all of that stuff, right? He said, Pierre, I want you to go cash your check. And when you cash your check, I want you to take your check and I want you to just put $50 in your pocket. Now my check was like $300, right? $300. He said, I want you to put $50 in your pocket. And I want you to put $250 on top of that refrigerator over there. We had 2 refrigerators in the crib, right? 2 refrigerators in the crib. He said, I want you to put it over there. And every week, because we get paid the same day, he said, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to put it into the bank. Not we're going to take it down and put it into the bank. And why would I say, yo, I don't trust you? I don't know. He said, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to put it into the bank for you. No exceptions. I want to make sure that it's there. I said, great, no problem. So I did it. Now, why, when I went to cash the check, wouldn't I just deposit the check? I didn't think about that until later. So I put my money up there. So when I go to the bank, I'm doing the math. Like, okay, so we got a year and a half at $250 a week, and I'm doing the math, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I got some money. I got some money over there. I got some money. At least I can go get my crib, right? Because when I drop out, I can't live at his house. I got to go get my own. So I'm like, all right, cool, I got that. Man, I go to the bank, and I'm like, okay, I'm here to make a withdrawal. Let me get everything out the account. And she said, okay, yeah, no problem, Pierre. Boom, pulled it up. She was like, you got $25. I said, how much? She said, $25. I said, what do you mean $25? She said, yeah, that's what you open the account with, and there hasn't been a deposit since. There hasn't been a deposit since the first deposit. So I go to the house. My pops wasn't there. I had to wait. I left pissed. Came back. Yo, Dad. They told me I got no money in the bank. He said, what do you mean they said they don't have no money? I said, yeah, they just said I got the $25 that we opened the account with. I remember the day we went there, we put $25 to open the account. But they said there hasn't been another deposit since. Yeah, my man said, y'all had bills, this, that. So you took my $250 a week? You took my $250? You took my $250? And you did what? Like, yo, that didn't add up to me. That didn't add up to me. I'm like, what do you mean? And I promise you, that day could have went wrong so many ways. I walked out, man, I got in my car, frustrated. I called my guy up. I ended up staying at his crib, and I'm staying at his house. He was like, yo, come stay here. He was like, yo, we'll just split the crib. My dad left me the crib, blah, 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 right? 2 weeks later, there's an eviction notice on the door. I'm like, yo, why you ain't tell me? Like, we could have took care of it, right? Like, we could have paid the money. So now here I am. All I got is my car and nowhere to go. So I find myself living in my car. So here we are, man. We're only weeks after I dropped out, and I'm homeless. I'm sleeping in my car in the middle of winter time in Rhode Island. It's cold. I'm sleeping in hallways because my car got towed because there was no registration, no insurance, and I had no license. So now here I am with no car, no nothing. And when these things are happening, I'm like, yo, the teachers was right. I'll never be nothing. As things get worse for me in my life, I stopped believing that what the teachers were saying to me was totally true. I started to believe that there was nothing that I can do. So think about this. When you start hearing the toxic stuff like, yo, you'll never amount to anything. In the moment, you play tough, like, yeah, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you got all these things that you're like, I'm going to do. But when you hear these same things over and over and over and over, at some point, you start to believe them because every time something's going bad, you focus on what you've been told, like, yo, they must be right. And then you hear toxic stuff like, you're too far behind. Instead of having the conversation of, listen, let's get you caught up. Why are we talking about I'm so far behind? So I find the depression and the frustration keep building and building and building to the point where I start to feel counted out. And that's why I named my book, They Counted Me Out. Because that's how I was feeling. Like I was counted out. Everything they were saying was right. And then I start thinking about everything when the teachers was like, yo, you might as well just drop out. Because I was hearing all of these things, I'm doing these things because I was becoming a believer of what everybody else was telling me, and I wasn't having the right conversations with myself. From this point on, do me a favor, don't have a conversation with yourself. Start asking yourself questions. Formulate everything around questions. So if you say to yourself, if you don't like the way life is going, I want you to ask yourself, like, yo, if I keep doing, not nobody else, right? Not your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, no family member, no friend, none of that. But if I keep doing the things that I'm doing the way that I'm doing them, where am I going to be in the next 12 months? Am I going to be closer to what I want in the next 12 months? No. It's not, well, if I think or if I, no, it's yes or no, right? When you start to look at it and you ask yourself the tough question, if I, If I keep doing what I'm doing right now for the next 12 months, is it going to get me closer to what I want? Or is it going to get me further or closer to what I don't want? Because them are the only two directions, closer to what you want and closer to what you don't want. There's no other directions. There's nothing else for you to think about. It's them two things. So when you ask yourself the question, me doing this, will it get me closer to what I want? Yes or no? Yes. Great. I want you to ask yourself then how? Right? How? How will it get me closer to what I want? And now you answer that question. Because if all you do is talk to yourself and talk to yourself and talk to yourself, you start to become a believer of your own nonsense. Every negative thing that happened to you in your life, every negative thing that you heard of, you're never amount to anything. Man, things aren't going right. They must have been right. I'm not the person that can make it, right? You're so far behind. You're too far behind. Yo, what is too far behind? You know how many people that have been homeless and right now they're living a life that they couldn't even imagine at the point when they was homeless? See, when I became homeless, my fight started to the fight I had in me, it started to decline. The fight was going away because I was becoming a believer of everybody else, but not a believer within me. And if I'm not going to be a believer within me and I'm just going to be a believer of what everybody else tells me, wow, one or two things I can do, right? I can either get around people if I value people's opinions so much more than I value my own of myself, then I need to be around people that talk to the person in me that I can't even see yet. Not the people that are just the yes people and they're trying to protect my feelings and they're telling me what they think I need to be hearing, or they're talking down at me. That's getting me closer to what I don't want. I want to be around the people that are going to challenge me. I want to be around the people that if I'm not doing the things to benefit myself, they're going to call me out on it. And at some point, they're not going to allow me to be in their presence. But at this point, I love to be in their presence. But now they're taking it away from me. It's like, yo, I need to get that back. I want that. Yo, you was challenging me. You was pushing me. So imagine the pain that when you get out of high school, you're still going to face. Do you know how many adults right now are facing so much pain that stems from high school? That stems from all the negativity that they done dealt with, all the negativity that they done felt? Yo, it's phenomenal, right? Think about this. You don't have to accept anybody's opinion about your future. You don't. You do not have to accept anybody's opinion about your future. You do not have to take anything they say about your future. But why do you take it? Because you're not sure where you want to go in the next 12 months. You're not sure what you want more of and less of. So therefore, when they say something to you, you're like, oh, okay, right? Listen, I'm more concerned with the value I put on myself, the value I see in myself. So when I'm around people that make the value I see in me go down, I remove myself from them people. I don't allow them people to stay in my presence. I don't allow them to stay around me. And as we go through high school and we deal with the stresses and the frustrations, right? When we're dealing with the stresses, the frustrations, and all we have is ourselves that are not qualified to give us the advice that we need. This is why I went and I dropped out. I had nobody to talk to. I was talking to myself. I wasn't qualified to make that decision. I wasn't qualified to answer that question. But there's one question, two questions, right, that keep me on track. What do I want more of? And what do I want less of? This is how you get yourself to the point where you look at everybody that was doubting you and you're setting yourself up now for the ultimate comeback. Because you know that no matter what, I got one job to get closer to what I want and further away from what I don't want. That's my job. Nothing else. There's nothing else I have to do other than say, listen, is this thing I'm doing right here, this conversation you want to have with me, is that a conversation that's going to get me closer to what I want? Is the thing you want to do going to get me closer to what I want? Or is the thing that you want to do, that you want to talk about, that you want me to be a part of, is it going to get me closer to what I don't want? I'm not doing it. And if you stay that course, that toxic stuff can't live there. It can't live. But the thing is, that toxicity, right? That people planted, them seeds that people planted. Every time things go bad for you, you start talking to yourself, listen, you're not qualified. You're not qualified, right? So I want you to ask yourself questions from this point on. Everything will come down to questions, okay? Everything. So let's go. 3 ways to start your comeback, okay? Let's talk about 3 ways to start your comeback. And you don't need to be perfect to start. You do not need to be perfect to start your comeback. I just told you in the beginning of this video, you're going to see me fumble. Why? Because I'm doing something new. This is something new for me. Presenting this way is something new. I'm not looking to be perfect. I'm looking to be committed. I'm looking to have the courage to stand by that commitment no matter what, no matter how I feel, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to stand by the commitment that I made to become the presenter in this type of environment, this type of platform, this type of teaching like never before. So when I commit to doing it and I got the courage to stand by that commitment, it gets a little easier, right? Because why does it get easy? I want you to understand that. It gets easier because I learned my capabilities, right? I learned my capabilities. What that means is I know right now I have to be structured as I do this. There's times I got off structure. There's times I came back. There's sometimes you're going to pick up like, oh, he got off. Oh, he came back. And then sometimes you're not even going to notice. If I never said it, you might not have noticed. But I'm telling you this because I want you to be able to see the transformation over time. And you're going to be like, yeah, I remember it was like this. Now look. And to be honest, that's what I'm feeding off of. I'm going to keep going until one day I get the comment that says, yo, I remember episode 1 and it was like this. And now I'm looking at it and it's like this. Yo, super dope, right? That is what I'm looking for. So that's what I'm committed to. In order for that to happen, I have to do what? I have to show up over and over and over and over again until I get it. I'm not worried about the rest. Okay? So when we're talking about commitment, you have to be committed. You have to have this courage to stand by the commitment so that you can figure out what your capabilities are. So I know my capabilities, I don't have a problem speaking, right? I have a problem following a structure. That's my problem. So I got to become more structured. That means as I'm writing it out and I'm taking notes for myself, I'm going to make sure that when I have this sentence and I'm transitioning, it goes into this, and then that goes into this, and I'm staying on course, right? If you notice, there's times when my voice gets like real loud. Like, listen, I promise y'all, I'm pointing this out because I want you to see when we're talking about setting up that comeback, right? When we're talking about setting up the comeback, I know I got to be committed to it. I gotta have the courage to stand by that commitment to learn my capabilities. So I'm figuring out my capabilities in this form of teaching, in this form of presenting, right? I'm like, yo, I want to stand up. I like to stand up. Why? Because I'm not comfortable. I feel more in my element, right? But right now, I'm sitting down. But I had to switch from the other chair, which was like too relaxing. It's not my style. So I had to switch to this chair, which is a higher chair, right? And I can sit into it and I can move my legs. I can swing my legs if I want. So it helps me to release some of this energy. You see what I mean? I'm learning me. I'm learning my capabilities. So now, as I'm presenting to you this way, over time, you're going to see it's going to be like so smooth, the transitions and everything's going to be right. But I'm not looking for it to be perfect right now. I'm looking for it to be consistent. I'm looking to stay committed. I'm looking to keep that courage even when I don't feel like doing it. Even when I read the comments and the comments is like, I don't really like that, or what's this, and da. Right? Okay, cool. Like I get it. But I'm going to have the courage to stand by the commitment that I made to show up every Sunday, to teach y'all what I know works, right? But it's when I'm working, it's not, I don't doubt that what I'm telling y'all works. I'm talking about the fact of the delivery and presenting it in the way that I want to present it to y'all, okay? Number two, fuel your fire, turn pain into purpose. Fuel your fire and turn pain into purpose. I had a I had a moment, man. I seen one of the teachers, man, that told me I should just drop out. Right, this was elementary. This was elementary school. I was a handful. She said, "Yeah, you should just drop out." She said, "Pierre, I don't think school's for you." And then one day, this was 2002, 2001, 2002. I had just went and picked up a Jag, right? I bought my Jaguar, 2000 Jaguar S Type. It had like 1,000 miles on it, right? Certified joint, clean, right? Clean. Bought the Jag S Type, and I was like, yo, I was just reminiscing, like, yo, I'm in a Jag now. I done came from this. You know what I'm saying? I done came from the projects. I done been to this school. Let me ride by this school. I just want to see. So I took that whole day. The first day I bought that car, the first day I drove off the lot, I went by everywhere where I ran into somebody who told me I would never be nothing. I ran by people. Listen, I'm not saying that because I got the car, it made me something. But what I'm saying is I was elevating. I was learning. I was becoming a different me. Even though I was doing things I had no business, I was becoming a different me. I was excelling. I was learning, right? So when I drive by these places, I end up driving by the school. I went to Pleasant View. Pleasant View, back in the day, you couldn't even get suspended from the school because it was only for kids that really had behavior problems. Like, that's where I was at. And I pulled up, and I went around the back, and I'm coming, right, and I see Miss Marandola. And I pull up, and when I seen her, I was happy to see her because I ain't seen her in so long. And there was some comments she made that it hurt, but I was still like, man, I seen her. Why? I was a little kid when I was in her class. So there was still an impact she had on my life. The majority of the impact was negative. And when I came around that corner and I seen her walking, and I swung around, right? I made a U-turn, and I pulled up so that the side of my driver's side was on her driver's side, and I'm looking at her as she's getting in her car, and I was like, Miss Marandola, how you doing? Put the window down. The leather still smelled fresh. Had the temp tag on the car, and I looked, Miss Marandola, how you doing? And she said, Pierre, you staying out of trouble? Huh? Like, out of everything to say to me, you staying out of trouble? Now, why wouldn't it be along the lines of, oh my God, it's so nice to see you. It looks like you're doing well for yourself. She jumping in a little hoop. She jumping in like a little $5,000 car. And listen, I'm not saying because I was driving this that I was doing better than what she was doing, but out of everything to say to me, it's like, yo, you staying out of trouble? I ain't pull up on you like, yo, you staying clean? You staying sober? You know what I mean? I pulled up like, hi, Miss Marandola, nice to see you. Pierre, you staying out of trouble? Instantly, it gave me a flashback to everything negative that she said to me. And I looked at her like, what? Put my window up, the power window, automatic, right? Put the window up and pulled off. And do you know that whole day, all I thought about was everything negative she said to me throughout the years she was my teacher. That's all I thought about. So when I'm saying to you, using that feeding your own fire with your pain, I was like, yo, am I staying out of trouble? Cool, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna go extra hard. The problem is I was in an environment that I was going extra hard in a way that I really didn't need to be going extra hard in that life, because that life was getting me closer to what I don't want. I didn't understand that formula then. I only knew how to do what I knew how to do. You see, I wasn't qualified to get myself beyond that. And because I wasn't qualified to get myself beyond that, I never got beyond that. It took a long time to get beyond it. Everything I was doing was getting me closer to what I didn't want. Everything that I was doing was getting me closer to her statement being right. You staying out of trouble? So when I'm going through life and I think about the things the teachers were saying to me, it's like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? Let's go to this next one real quick. Commit to growth. Every skill is learnable. Right? Commit to growth. Every skill is learnable. It's not that you can't do it. Whatever it is you want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. If you like 4 foot, you're probably not going to dunk, right? But there might be some workouts. There might be some technology that can help you to strengthen your legs to the point where it can take your 4 foot self and lift you up to that 10 foot mark so you can dunk that. But your hand probably too small. So you got to dunk with 2 hands, or you got to cup it. So you got to get a little higher. I don't know. There might be some technology, but the odds of you being 4 foot and dunking is slim. I'm not saying nobody ain't did it, but I'm telling you it's something rare. Okay? So there's so many things that you can do. You just got to understand that you got to put the time in. You didn't get to where you are overnight. The situation, the pain that you feel, it didn't happen overnight. It happened over time. It happened over time. So to get what you want, to learn the skill you need to learn to become who you want to become and get the things that you want to get, you got to be willing to put in the work over time. Do you understand, man? At 48, I still feel like I'm going through rehabilitation. You know what I mean? Mentally, physically, and emotionally. I still have moments where it's like, man, I don't know. Man, I'm not sure if I can get that done. Man, I struggle with that. And when I say them words, when I hear them words, like, man, I struggle with that. Now when I start to feel that way, I'm like, yo, who can help me with that? Right? I'm not supposed to do anything. Remember, I talked about it. Commitment, courage, capabilities. I'm not focused at living outside of my capabilities, but I am focused on living on the edge of my capabilities. And if I live on the edge of my capabilities, that means my capabilities is constantly growing, because my job is to stay on the edge, but to keep creating a new edge. And the things that are outside of my capabilities, right? Now, when I say on the edge, that means I still feel the stress. I still feel a little bit of pain and the mental frustration, but I'm not going to retreat. I'm going to stay there. And I'm going to keep building my edge out further and further and further. But things outside of my edge, who can help me with that? Who can help me with that? I just had to talk with my wife, and I'm like, hey, there's things you do, man, that come very easy to you. And there's things that you do that I admire. There's things you do that I'm not wired that way. It doesn't work for me. But for you, it's easy. Like, you do it naturally. And I love that about you. And sometimes when there was a time, right? There was a time where I wasn't brave enough to say that. I wanted to say, I can do it all by myself. I can do it all. I don't need nobody. That's a lie. We all need somebody. We just don't know where we need them. So when I'm on the edge of my capabilities, the things outside of my edge is the things I need help with. So this is why I'm looking like, yo, this is what I want more of in the next 12 months. So on my edge, beyond my edge, who is in my current circle that can help me to do the things that are beyond my capabilities. When I find that, I get to live inside on the edge of my capabilities, which gives me what? It makes me become fully committed, not just committed. It increases my confidence, because these are buildable skills. The more I stay committed, the more, right? The more I commit to something, the more I have the courage to stand by it. I become fully committed. I become more of a believer. I become more of a go-getter. I become more effective. I stop looking outside of me for approval. I look within me for approval, because I understand everybody has capabilities. And those that try to live beyond their capabilities have the biggest stress, the biggest frustration, the biggest levels of failure, the biggest levels of burnout. I don't want to do it. So I'm going to commit to something. I'm going to have the courage to stand by that commitment until I'm fully committed. I become fully committed once I understand my capabilities. And I'm like, yo, it's not that I can't do it. I just can't do everything that goes with it. Right? Has nothing to do with me not being able to do it. I just can't do everything that goes with it. Okay? So the greatest comeback stories, starts when you have nothing left to lose and everything to prove. I lost my cousin to a homicide. I lost my best friend, like a cousin, to a homicide. I lost people to the penitentiary system. And I was going in that same direction. And I said, yo, you have nothing else to lose, Pierre. Nothing else to lose. You know where you're going. You know where this road ends up. What do you want more of in the next 12 months? What do you want less of in the next 12 months? You know where that goes, but what do you want more of? Not what you're currently doing. What you're currently doing is only because you're not focused on what you want more of or what you want less of. You're not focused on that. So you're going to go down this road, right? You're going to go down this road and you're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you get to the point, like one of my partners that's sitting there and don't know, is it going to be 10 years? Is it going to be 15 years? Is it going to be 8 years? Is it going to be 20? Like, what's it going to be? I don't know. I'm like, yo, I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to get to that point. Instead, I want to be like, yo, what is it that you want? And let's fight to get it. Okay? Let's get what you want, right? So I want to look at this one more time because this is big, right? The greatest comeback story starts when you've got nothing to lose and everything to prove. I realized that one of my hot buttons is when people start telling me like, yo, you can't do that. Yo, that's not going to happen. Because of my environment and my upbringing, I felt like I always had to prove people wrong. And that's where my fire comes from. See, I found my hot buttons. I found my fire. What's your fire? What's your hot button? So I tend to set out to set these big visions and say it to certain individuals so I can hear them say like, man, that's not going to happen. Man, you can't do that. Man, you've been trying to do this for so long. Or you've been trying to do that. It ain't work. That ain't work. This ain't work. Yeah. Okay, great. Yup. Keep going. And then every time I hit that benchmark, it's like, ooh, I don't even need to say, yo, I did that. It's just like, ooh, keep going. Ooh, keep going. Ooh, keep going. So I found my hot button. I found my motivation. What's yours? This is how we get to that point where we set up that comeback. You got to ask yourself, what do I want more of in the next 12 months and what do I want less of in the next 12 months? And everything you do has to be connected to getting you more of what you want. If it doesn't, that means it's getting you less of what you want. All right? Like I hope you get that, man. Let's go through this next part real quick. All right? We're at the end. We're at the end. We're winding down, right? We're winding down right now. Listen, first, if you're watching this, man, I want you to hit the subscribe button because I want you to tune in every week, man. This is going to be a masterclass. Okay? From this point on, this is going to be a masterclass. I'm going to give you the game that I use to become committed, keep the courage, build the courage, to stay committed until I'm fully committed, to learn my capabilities so I can live within them on the edge, not in the comfort zone of my capabilities, but on the edge of my capabilities. And from there, my courage will keep going and keep going and keep going, right? And the more I get that, the confidence will build. I'm not going to say to you, yo, you need to be more confident. Go get confidence. Do that. Listen, you don't just go out and go get confidence. You become committed to something. You have the courage to stand by that commitment. You learn your capabilities within that commitment. That's where the confidence comes from. And if you follow that process, listen, I promise you, there's not a person in this world you cannot prove wrong. But most importantly, yourself. I cannot wait to see y'all on next week's episode because we are going to dive in to some real content. But before we did that, I needed you to understand that I'm not the person that just read some books and wants to get on here and talk to you and tell you, hey, do this, do that. Nah, I'm the high school dropout that could barely read, could barely write when it happened. I did that, right? I'm the one that when I dropped out, I was on the 7th, 8th grade reader level. That was me. I'm the one that when my son was struggling, there was times I couldn't help him with his homework, right? There was times when my son looked at me, he's like, yo, Dad, you can't even tell me to do my homework because you ain't never did yours. You dropped out. You didn't even drop out. You tried to push me to graduate and you ain't dropped out. And you dropped out. You ain't graduate. I said, yeah, okay. Okay, cool. I went and bought that GED book, that thick GED book. That had a CD in it. I popped it in. I didn't like it. Boom, threw it out. I went on YouTube. I found a teacher I can relate to in every course. In every course, I found a teacher I can relate to. And I studied for 2 weeks straight. And then I went and took the test. And I passed the test. Even the part where I had to write a report. And I never did a book report in my life. And I passed the test. And when I passed that test, I had to go home, right? Well, first I took the test, then I had to go home, and I'm watching the computer, watching it. I'm looking at it. Like, yo, they updated yet? They updated yet? Yeah, no, it's not updated. Oh, there it is. Oh, passed. And I didn't say nothing right away. I waited for it to come in the mail. And then when it came in the mail, I went in and I gave it to my son. I was like, yo, here, boy. I said, I got my GED now. You'll never say that to me again. And then I went one step further. You see the book right there? You might be able to see this one on that side easier. I went and wrote the book and got the book published. I said, yo, here you go. And I gave it to him. You see, when my son called me out, that lit my fire. And that's where I really, really, really realized that I need people to call me out. I need to create the environments that will get my fire lit. The way I get motivated doesn't have to be the way you get motivated. I had somebody tell me like, yeah, nah, that's not good. What do you mean it's not good? If it works for me, it's good. Just because it doesn't work for you or make sense to you doesn't mean it's not good. Whatever moves you forward in a positive way, getting you closer to what you want more of, don't ever let nobody tell you it's not good. Could you become better? Absolutely. So if someone says, hey, I see what you're doing, if you make that little tweak, it'll make it a little better. I'm going to try the little tweak. Why? Because what do I have to lose? Worst case scenario, I stay where I am. I'm not going backwards. I'm going to try that little tweak. If that little tweak moves me like this, I'll take it. That next little tweak, the next one, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. What if I never took the little tweaks? Then I'm still right here. So I'm taking the little tweaks. But if someone says like, yo, nah, that's not right. That's the wrong way to do it. That's the wrong way to go about it. Okay, cool. I appreciate you sharing it. And the separation between the two of us will get bigger. Why? Because you're getting me closer to what I want less of, not what I want more of. You know you better than anybody else. So I need you to know your hot buttons, what moves you forward. So I put myself in situations where people say, yo, that's not possible. You can't do that. People like you don't get that. Yo, you're not smart enough for that. You're not capable of doing that. I love them situations because for me, that's my hot button. That's the push. And it makes me go even harder. And then I get it. I used to say, told you. Now, I just keep moving. I just smirk and keep it moving. Okay? Listen to me, man. I cannot wait to see y'all next week, man. I know we were supposed to close this out a minute ago, but we are closing it out now. I need y'all to go subscribe, man. Go subscribe to the channel, okay? Subscribe to the channel. I promise you we're going to be here every Sunday, and I'm going to give you the game. I'm going to give you the game. I promise you that. I'll see y'all.